All right. Good morning from Houston. It's Cassandra Knight with Keller Williams, The Woodlands, and Magnolia. Today I have Cassie Chapman here with me.
Hey everyone, how are y'all doing?
I can see the ring light right there.
Oh.
And that's bothering me.
There we go.
There we go. Alrighty. So, let's get started. It's 10 o'clock. How's your day going?
Good so far. I was telling you, happy Mother's Day to all the moms that celebrated this weekend. Whether you're a mom to 2 legs or 4 legs, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And my daughter turned 22, so on Mother's Day. So it was really weird. I was like, okay, do you need something for your birthday? And she goes, no, what better way to celebrate than the day that you became a mom? And I'm like, okay, tears, but yeah, it was good stuff.
Cute.
Good stuff.
Did y'all do any parties or dinner?
Yeah,
or?
she made reservations on Mother's Day. I told her, I was like, I'm not going to go anywhere unless you have reservations because Mother's Day is a cluster. You know this. So there's a cute little place in Tomball called the Gray's Table. Okay. Adorable. Super great, fresh, it's very farm to table kind of feel.
I'm gonna have to try it.
It was really good.
It sounds
Their
good.
espresso martini was phenomenal as well. So.
I love a good espresso martini.
Me too.
I don't know. I'm behind. I'm in between chocolate martini and espresso martini. I can't decide which is better.
See, to me, espresso's like the breakfast drink, and then your chocolate's dessert.
That's true.
So I'm going to start with espresso and then go to chocolate at the end of the meal. We could do both.
There you go. I had someone ask me this, can you do a chocolate espresso martini? And I was like, you're on to something right now.
You're damn well on to something. That's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just want to know, what got you into Tidal? What was the factor? What were you doing before that moved you into that?
So I've always been told with Tidal, you either are born into it or you luck into it. And usually the luck is, I don't know if it's real luck or not, but I have been in sales my entire life. I moved to the Houston area about, 13 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And did several different jobs, all sales oriented. I've always been sales. So I worked for customer service at the Ford dealership here. Do not suggest that. Nobody calls to tell you you're doing a good job at the dealerships. It was terrible, mentally exhausting, awful. And then I went and worked for a pest control company.
Okay.
So, worked for a local pest control company, Cypress Creek. Hey, how are you? Worked there for 3 years and started their commercial side of their business.
Oh, wow.
So, I was literally the only female going out to bid these jobs at manufacturing places, food distribution places. I have been chased by rats and roaches and everything else in between. And then, unfortunately, I went through a divorce and quickly realized that one income at a pest control company wasn't going to be what I needed to support 2 girls. So I had been in B&I.
Yes.
So was in B&I for 5 years with the pest control company and then transitioned into the Tidal. So I was actively involved in B&I. You become really good friends with those people. Yep. You know this. The people that help you build your network, help you build your business, become a part of your life. So there was a few people in my group that knew that I was going through this divorce, and a local title company, Momentum Title, he said, I think you'd be great at this. And I was like, great at what? And he's like, selling title insurance. I was like, okay, yeah. So, what's it look like? And the salary was exponentially a little bit more than, selling rat poisoning. Absolutely. And I started in it. So I've been doing this now for 9.5 years. And the first 3 years, I was with Momentum for 5. And for the first 2 years, Cass, I didn't even know I was selling insurance. I had no idea. I was had no understanding of exactly what I was selling. How terrible is that? For you people that worked with me the first 3 years, whoa. But when you quickly realize that it's more relationship driven, right? Yes. They always say you buy from people that you like.
Absolutely.
So it became way more relationship driven for me. So began building those relationships in the industry, and about year 2 or 3 is when I was like, oh, I sell title insurance for the property.
Oh, that's what I do.
I was just ready to celebrate at closings. I'm so excited.
That's the most exciting.
Exactly.
Anyway, everybody involved is just like, yes.
Yes.
We don't even know what's going on. We don't know.
Right. So I've bought and sold a few homes, but whenever you're just a consumer, you really don't understand what title insurance is, why it's important, why you need it. So once I kind of really understood exactly the ins and outs of what title insurance was, what it covers, why you need it, my whole transition on how I sold it was a little bit different.
Okay.
Obviously, it's still that relationship and building that with the agents, but then being able to educate just the consumer on why it's important. It took off, and I was able to definitely expand my business a lot more when you have a better understanding.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, how many years have you been in title total?
9.5.
9 years.
Yeah, along
Okay.
with Bree Fletcher. She's one of my escrow officers.
Okay.
Her and I started. She started a week before me, so she really likes to flex on that seniority. So whatever.
That's so funny.
It's great because we usually go on vacation together, so it's not like we're fighting over vacation time. But it's her and I built our business. She has carried my book of business on her back for the past 8 years.
That's awesome.
So just recently transitioned to a new company, and my business has exploded.
Yeah.
Just the opportunities that we have with the different underwriters, just different escrow officers. I've got an escrow officer for everything, whether it be commercial or development, investor. So I don't feel like I'm in a box anymore. This box has completely exploded. And I call it cocky confidence. So you can use that.
Nice.
There's just a level of confidence that comes when you're supported by a company that doesn't tell you no, right?
Yeah.
It's always, we can get it closed, time or money, which one?
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I like Capital. I've seen a lot of y'all's work and, worked with you some.
Yeah.
And I think y'all are doing great things.
Thank you. So the largest independently owned title company in Texas in the United States.
Wow.
We also own our own underwriting company as well, so that really helps us navigate some deals that may have a little hair on them.
Absolutely.
Is what I like to say. But just the opportunity, and I went from one office with my previous company in the Houston market to we have over 24 offices in the Houston market, over close to 170 in the state.
Wow.
So one of the things that I've kind of focused in is I'm really able to go where your business grows.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you do have clients that are, hey, we're selling in Houston and we're buying in Dallas, well, what can we do to make that transition a lot easier for you?
Absolutely.
We can close your buyers here while you're went ahead and moved on to Dallas or whatever, and then we can courtesy close you at those offices there. So just a much further grab now of who I can help and what I can do. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And it's good, it's like building those relationships in multiple markets is good to have.
Oh,
That's
absolutely.
like, I just went to the BNI conference and met people
I was
from
going to say, how was that?
all over. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it was crazy. I jumped into BNI. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
And I started doing it, and then the BNI conference came around, and there were people from Canada, like, all the way down here, and there was a gentleman from India that came.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so, like, connections that I had, at first it was like, I knew people in Georgia, because that's where I came from.
Right.
And now it's like, oh, I know some people in Houston.
Yeah.
Oh, and now I know people in Canada. Oh, I know people in India. Like, it's like, just the globalness of that, and even what you're talking about here in the U.S. having multiple offices like that, it's kind of like KW. Like, we have offices
1,000%.
all over the world.
Yes.
And just having those big connections is really awesome, because you can tell me, hey, we're selling in Houston, but we want to buy over in Colorado. Okay, well, let me refer you to an agent that's over in Colorado that I know, like, and trust. So, yeah, it's really cool when you start to build those relationships, not just in your own city, and just further. Like, it's wild.
It is. It absolutely is. So I've been a part of the Women's Council of Montgomery County. Goodness, for the past 6 years. And it was one of those, it was, as a title rep, like, my consumer is real estate agents and lenders.
Yes.
Well, Women's Council of Realtors, like, it made sense, right? But then when you get involved in it and you understand it's way more than just making those relationships to do business, but the referral opportunity.
Absolutely.
It's statewide, it's nationwide. And so to have those, it's been amazing seeing my agents go to state meetings and national meetings and do business, like, across the table from each other. And like, hey, I've got 15 acres over here, do you know someone? And just it happening like that. It's really cool to see that, for sure. Well, and then having that trusted, they have the same kind of integrity, or at least mindset, right? You know why they're here, and you can trust them in that.
Absolutely.
In that regard. So.
Yeah, and I stand firm on one of my business practices, because real estate's a business and you run it how you run it, right? So one of my business practices is I only do business with people I know, like, and trust.
Absolutely.
So if I refer you to somebody, you know that I know them. It's not somebody that I would just, like, looked up on Google and said,
right.
Go choose them.
I'm friends with them on Facebook. And, yeah.
No, if I have chosen to refer you out to this person, it's because I know, like, and trust them, or someone real close to me know, likes, and trusts them.
I completely agree. You know, there's very few things that we can control in what we do, and our integrity is number one of those. It's my dad always told me that. Is, you know, you can control a lot of things, or can't control a lot of things, but how your integrity presents to other people is the one that you can really trust. So absolutely. I agree. I'm not going to refer you out to people I don't know or have had experience with.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so talking about title, what's the craziest title story that you can tell me about?
Golly. There's so many. Specifically one happened like probably about 2 or 3 years in, and I always say that we're the Jerry Springer of the real estate industry.
Jerry Springer.
I mean, seriously, we are dealing with death, divorce, probate, heirs, you know, all these things. Well, in the state of Texas, we're a community property state, right? So if you were married, we have to talk to the spouse. They'd probably have to come and sign. Well, in this instance, the people were going through a divorce. The divorce was final, and they were selling this property. The ex-husband brought his new wife that he had literally married the day before. Literally the day before.
That's funny.
Brought her to closing,
but
with the ex-wife, and we had to call the sheriff's department. Because there was like a whole situation of why'd you bring this heifer, and you know, it was real great. But most of the even more crazier things, other than the Jerry Springer thing, is the fraud stuff. Fraud is rampant. We actually just had a deal in my Tyler market where we were waiting for earnest money to come, and we were supposed to have earnest money last week. They said they had sent it like 3 different times, and in my head, I'm like, okay, the earnest money was $6,100. You've sent $6,100 3 different times and we still don't have it. Red flag, right?
Yeah.
Then it was, my boyfriend's going to send the earnest money from a bank in New York. Well, we don't care what bank it comes from. We just need the money, right? So then we still didn't receive it. And then over the weekend, we received several emails saying that like the person who was buying the home is now in the hospital, that they are non-responsive. And now it's our fault that the earnest money hasn't come. So we did a little bit of research yesterday. And because, I mean, honestly, like our agents, y'all have some incredible opportunities and apps to look up and research people before you go out with them, before you get a contract. So we used Forewarn, which amazing. If you're HAR MLS, use it. It's free. Use it.
You need to.
Yes.
100%.
If you're dating, use it. I'm just kidding.
Right? I know some agents like that. They're like, I use it.
When I was single and going through that, like I totally would send the number to a friend of mine.
Through Forewarn.
Yes.
Just look at it.
I mean, I get asked on a date from a guy who's got like 3 domestic abuse charges. I'm like, no, we're not going to go on that one. I think I'm going to pass hard on that. But that's a whole nother time. But we ran the number through Forewarn, and it was a local number to Tyler, and to find out, like, it gives the address. It gives things that they own, you know, right?
Yeah.
She lives in a travel trailer in a trailer park in Bullard, Texas. Like, we were trying to figure out what was the end game of this.
Yeah.
Right? Because at this point in time, it wasn't wire fraud. It was just negligence of we haven't received it.
Yeah.
But talking to the agents and speaking very, very transparently with them, saying, hey, like, everyone's red flags need to be up this weekend.
Yeah.
Because something is just not jiving on this. So to find out, they sent cancellation of termination today, and just weird things like that.
Why? I don't understand why. Why did they go through all of
I'm
that?
hoping that we caught it with the red flags and just having a little common sense before anything bad was going to happen. Whether it just being tying people up so that they couldn't actually sell the house, whether they had an end game and there was going to be another buyer on the other side. There's so many things that could have, but didn't, so we're thankful for that.
Yeah, no, and fraud is like a big thing in the whole real estate industry. I have a friend who's a roofer, and he called me the other day and he's like, hey, this is crazy, but I need your help with something. And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? He said, I did a bid on a roof, but the guy who bid on the roof isn't the owner. And I was like, okay. And he was like, I don't know if they're a buyer, but the house is on the market. Would you call the listing agent for me? And I was like, yeah, I'll call the listing agent for you. So I called the listing agent and I said, hey, so, this is going on. I have a roofer who's a friend of mine. Here's the whole situation. Basically, the guy had already paid him in full. Like, done the bid, he sent the money to the roofer.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I told the listing agent that, and she was like, we don't know who that is. And I was like, okay, and I called the roofer. I said, you need to tell your bank right now that they need to block that payment because they're going to come back and they're going to try to do something with your bank. And he did, and he called, and it was a fraudulent charge. They were going to try to pull money out of his account.
Yeah.
And, crazy. Just a crazy, didn't even have to do with real estate, but someone, I mean, technically, real estate. But, it wasn't the listing agent, it wasn't the buyer, it was just some random person that chose something off the MLS.
You want to know, what's your end game here?
Uh-huh.
But, no, there's so many. One in particular, this is another one. There was a deal that we had 26 heirs.
26 heirs?
26 heirs.
How does that...
So,
what?
It was grandma, grandpa.
Okay.
Okay, and then they had 8 kids.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then 8 kids had other kids, and some of the 8 kids had passed away. Right, so then we had to take in consideration their heirs. So it took us a year to get it closed, to find all the heirs. And mind you, this is in the height of COVID. So I'm going to people's houses, masked up, gloved up, getting signatures. One of the signatures that needed was from a gentleman who was in a COVID hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally had to hazmat outfit it up.
That's crazy.
To go into the room to get him to sign the paper. So, but we got it all done, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to people are greedy. I mean, and they were really more concerned about what they were going to get. And when we quickly tell them that, hey, there's back taxes and all of this, they're like, never mind, I don't want anything to deal with it. But 25 heirs to collect signatures on was good stuff.
So were any of them surprised that they had, any claim to the land at all?
Oh, absolutely. So, the grandkids,
Mm-hmm.
the grandkids of the grandparents, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even know that, they would have to even sign off. So, having to explain to them, how the heirship levels work in Texas, and yes, you could get this.
Mm-hmm.
By the time we split it up between 25 heirs,
Yep.
pay the taxes, get it to where, you could actually sell it, you're going to make maybe $5. So it's just explaining to people and letting them understand the depth of what's happening, and they're real quick to sign usually.
Yeah.
But also we've seen the other side of it to where they refuse to sign.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of wild things. We've someone wrote a whole contract on a completely different land lot, and then we didn't find out till closing because we did all the work.
That's crazy.
Per the contract,
Uh-huh.
right? And then it got towards closing where, this isn't the right property.
It's not the right property. No.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I heard a story, and I think it's true. It came from a news outlet, but you never know.
Then it's always true.
Yeah, right? But,
it was on Facebook, it has to be true.
Somebody wrote a contract she was buying a lot in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
and closed on the property, got ownership to 26 lots in the subdivision. Lots that had already been bought and sold, lots that, the developer accidentally signed over 26 lots. I don't know how it got missed or anything.
I would never want to work with that title company again.
What?
I mean,
how does that even happen? And she came back to them, and I don't know how it all came out, but she was like, so what happens now? Because people had already bought and sold pieces of it, and she's like, but technically under a contract, so I would assume the ones that are bought and sold, no, but if there were any vacant lots at all, they couldn't fight it. Technically under contract, they're
legality, absolutely.
That's crazy.
Lots of negligence. I mean, that's why it does matter who you work with, right?
Yes.
Having the right underwriters, having the experience and knowledge, I mean, it really does matter who you work with. I've heard of people building an incompletely home on the wrong lot.
I've heard, yep.
You think, how does that happen?
Yep.
Right? Because building a home can take 3 to 4 to 6 months, depending on weather and universe and everything else. But y'all spent the past 6 months building a home on a piece of property that's not even yours.
Yep. Well, that's the situation I just had where it was supposed to close in March,
mm-hmm.
and we got close to closing day, and title came back to us and said the outbuilding that was on this property was 8 feet past the property line. And how do we miss that? Also, the owners built the house themselves. It was 5 feet from the build line.
Good night.
So, yeah, right? I was 5 feet. We went out there, took a like measuring tape and measured, and it was exactly 5 feet from the build line.
Yeah.
Had they gone any closer, there would have been, that house could have maybe never ever sold.
Yeah.
Because it's so close to everything. But anyway, things like that happen, and that's why you need title.
Oh, 1,000%.
Like, the surveyor never said anything.
Yeah.
The bank never said anything. It was title that came back and said, but hey, we did some research and this isn't on here.
Yeah.
And we were like, no way, the surveyor would have told us. And I called the surveyor and he was like, I thought you guys knew. And I was like, this is why we hired you, friend.
We had one just a few months ago that was the same. The fence was 8 foot onto the neighbor's property.
Oh, gosh.
So they had to pay for the fence to be
moved.
Yeah, yep. And then we had to send out the surveyor again to redo the survey. There's just all sorts of things that you will see, like especially like on vacant land. There's a lot of fraud stuff that happens on those. Yeah. So I always tell our consumers that if your title company, your real estate agent, is asking you to do things that like you feel are a pain, because it's like dual checking for ID, or hey, we're gonna mail you this letter to see if it goes to the right place on a vacant lot, and those kinds of things. I do truly hate when people get upset about those things.
Yeah.
Because we really are doing the due diligence to make sure things like this don't happen.
Yeah.
We get all the complaints about how to deliver earnest money because it's not easy.
Yeah.
But making it a little bit more difficult kind of helps us prevent from fraud and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
So if anything, like if you're doing a wire transfer, we call and verify those funds.
Yep.
Or verify those wiring instructions, excuse me. So if you, once again, I'm sure you've heard this, and for the consumers, we don't send that stuff via email.
Mm-mm.
You're not going to receive an email from us verifying your wiring instructions.
Nope.
You're never going to receive an email from us saying, hey, if you send your money now, you get a 10% discount. There's no discounts in real estate.
Nope.
Let's be real.
Nope.
And I think that a lot of people don't take it serious until it's happened to them.
Yep.
And then when you have a client who's missing hundreds of thousands of dollars from a huge investment that they're about to, dive into, then come to me with those complaints.
Yeah. If you're not, if you're a real estate agent or a title company and you're not educating people about wire fraud, you need to be. Because,
Absolutely.
I see it a lot more with, older couples
1,000%.
and people buying. They just don't get it. They
Absolutely.
don't get that, people are targeting now with those emails and those links, and you click on it and
you're done.
Yeah.
You're done. Yeah.
They have all your information.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be super careful, and as an agent, it's really important. That's why almost every agent I know has it at the bottom of their email. They have it on their Facebook. They have it everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm going to get it tattooed, actually. It's going to be in my tattoo.
Wire fraud
is real. Do not answer emails with wiring information.
It's like the pirating DVDs commercial.
Yes, exactly. You remember LimeWire downloading we're not doing that, guys. We're not doing that. But once again, it's important on who you work with, because my previous company, you don't realize what you don't have until you go to a company that has it. Mm-hmm. That's terrifying. So coming to Capital, I realized quickly that my previous company, we were not set up in a great manner for wire fraud.
Yeah.
And it's, dual check-in, log-in. You get the codes on your phone to do that. And I was like, there was nothing like that at a previous company.
Yeah.
So I do get on my soapbox about it. And I'm going to tell my agents, do not come to me and complain about it. Because I will laugh in your face. Don't come to me and complain about it.
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely. Yeah, no, title's super important. I think you'll do a lot of really important work, and people maybe just don't realize.
Yeah.
It's the same for real estate agents. People
1,000%. So much behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They think we turn keys, open doors, say, look at this pretty house, and collect a check. And
right.
That's just not what it is.
No, that's the super easy part.
That's the super easy. That's the fun part.
That's the fun part. That's what keeps you going, right? Showing the homes and getting to the closing table. I feel like that I got goosebumps. Those are the most exciting parts, right? But if you've got to have a good escrow team behind you, because what they do, I always tell my escrow team, I pour into them, especially end of month, because they don't leave their desk.
Mm-hmm.
For 8 hours they are there, eating at their desk, having lunch to get things done. And the salesperson to me, I would lose my mind.
Yeah.
There's just no way. And my sales team knows that. They're like, please, Cassie, just leave.
Yeah.
I'm the ADD kid that's like, could you shut up? We got to get work done. But there is just so much that goes behind it as far as the curative part. And the same thing for the agent and our lenders. Oh my gosh, our lenders too. And whenever you have that magical team that does all of those things, and then the client does get to say, oh my gosh, that was easy.
Yep.
That's the goal.
Yeah, that is the goal.
They don't understand everything that's happened in the background to get it done, but if they can get to the closing table and say, that was a great experience, that was so easy, while we're sweating and haven't slept for 3 days, and I mean, that's the point.
I mean, poor Brie, where were we? I guess it was at your boyfriend's house.
Yeah.
Doing poker night, and she's over there working on her computer.
She's a psycho.
And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm working right now. And she's like, I gotta go to another room. And she like took her computer, went to another room. We're all playing games, laughing. She finally came out and was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll go in and check on her and be like, are you good? But no, I mean, it's so funny because she did that. And then the next day, there's a pad of paper with like all these notes on it. And the boyfriend was like, what is all this? And I was like, it's nothing. I'm going to throw it away. It was nothing important. It was just notes and GF numbers and things of that nature. But it's, you know, whenever you find people like that who are very passionate about giving you a good experience and really working, because it says a lot about them too, like, you know, you got the right people.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, even going on vacation, like I always say, if you're in the real estate industry, we just have a change of scenery for our office. We're never really off work.
Yeah.
I think the only time I really was able to kind of check out is when we went to Europe because the time difference, right? Because I was able to answer all the emails, get everything done while everyone here was sleeping.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm able to go party and play and see and all while everyone's sleeping here. So it worked out great. So for future reference, I'll go to Europe to get a vacation.
There you go. Yeah, no, they say for real estate agents, they're like, if you're not busy, go on vacation.
It's the truth.
And it's true. It is 100% true. You know, you go on vacation, like I'll be home with my family and I'll be getting phone calls the whole time I'm there.
Yep.
And I'm like, hold on guys, I gotta step outside. And they're like, okay, alright, whatever. But no, for real, it really is. It's a full-time industry, and you know.
Oh, and having a partner that understands that, or having the people around you that understand that. I mean, I definitely believe in the healthy aspect of it. Hey, certain point of the day, let's cut it off and settle and let our brains rest.
Yes.
But I mean, things happen so fast. And that, you know, if having a partner or someone around you that understands that, says, hey, I got to get this phone call real fast, makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, for me and David, I don't know how it is for you guys, but, like, you know, he works 12 hours, and then I work all the time. So, like, most of the time he's sleeping when I'm, like, up doing my stuff, so that works out for us. But if there's ever a time where, like, I'm, like, busy working, he'll just come and he'll like lay on my office floor and sit there while I'm working, hang out, and he's like, I know you're busy, but I just want to be like hang out. And so having a partner that understands, like sometimes we just you gotta lay around.
Absolutely.
Like, hang out, so.
I love it. It just your dates becomes just sitting on the couch and like, you good? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've been trying to watch Handmaid's Tale for probably, like, months now, like, trying to get through I think we're finally on, like, season 4 out of 5, so we're finally getting there, but we've been watching it for months now.
See, that's same. It takes me, like, 2 nights to watch an hour show, because either, like, I get distracted or I fall asleep. How terrible is it?
100%. Well, we're coming to the end of the podcast. I know that was super fast.
I know! Like, golly, that was so fast.
So... a couple things. So usually with the podcast, what I do is I bring you back in about a year's time.
Okay.
And we see like where you're at, what you're doing,
absolutely,
how everything is. But for now, I want to know, you know, if you could talk to the next person who's a business owner that comes into this room, what would your advice be to them?
Oh gosh, be authentically yourself. Don't whatever thing that you think is funny about you that you may think you need to, you know, put down and not show, do it. I think that was my biggest lesson and things that I tell people is be authentically you.
Yeah.
There's a person out there for everyone, and you want to work with the people that like you.
Absolutely.
So be authentic, be consistent, and once again, just have that integrity behind your business.
Okay. Yeah, no, that 100%, I'm right with you. When I started at KW, I met with Tyler.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, I've interviewed a bunch of offices, and they're not giving me the answer I want, so I'm going to ask you a question, and I want to know what you say.
I want to know. Okay. Let's go.
And I said, are people going to judge me or tell me to leave because I have colored hair and tattoos and piercings?
Yeah.
And I said, because I'm not... I don't want an office like that. I said, I'm not a real estate Barbie.
Yeah.
There's some beautiful women in this
office. Oh, absolutely.
Who are real estate Barbies.
Yeah.
And I love them. But I am not that kind of person.
Right.
And he was like, no. And he showed me a picture of an agent that had blue hair. And he was like, we love her. She's our favorite agent.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, just talking about, you know, he used to be a teacher and he's fun and loud and excited and people here accept him. And that's what I was looking for, you know, in an office. So same thing in a business. You know, don't change who you are. There's definitely people in the world who are here for you.
Oh, I stand beside it, absolutely.
Yeah, well, that's awesome advice, and thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me,
I always love
friend.
hanging out with you.
Thank you.
It's fun, and I think the first time we ever met, we had lunch, and we probably talked for like 2 hours.
I think I cried, I laughed,
talked about divorce, talked about ex-husbands, like, we got into it.
Yeah.
I walked away from that, and I think I texted you, I was like, I think we were supposed to be soulmates, like... I think
you give me goosebumps.
We're supposed to be, like, I was like, you know, I'm not really good at making friends, but I think we're supposed to be. So, really blessed.
It was a very authentic meeting. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I love hanging out with you. Well, thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching. That's it. See you guys soon.
Thank you.